So Jamie, during the four-week break from the Premiership, we're looking pretty good in all competitions. What does that say about the strength of depth in our squad?
Yeah, I think it just, the fact that we're in the mix in all competitions, really. I think, the main thing for me was the last couple of weeks, the wins in the LV Cup, the strength and depth that we shown there. I think, getting these young guys in actually shows how strong we are as a club, and how well the environment's going, and how well we're bringing through these guys, how well Don Barrell, Ian Vass, Rory Teague are doing in the academy. I think, you just got to look at some of the young guys' performances, Mara Toje, people like that. They're really shining in those sort of environments, and hopefully that can continue into the Premiership this week, and moving on, looking forward to sailing the Heineken Cup as well in a few weeks' time.
So obviously going back into the Premiership this week, how would you assess the Premiership season so far?
Yeah, I think it's going well. Obviously, the one blip in Bath away, obviously, I think, but we learnt our lessons from that as well. I think, overall we've got to be very happy. I think, but the exciting thing is I think we've still got some gears left in us, and we've still got some places that we can go, and I think we've got a lot of things to work on. But we've got to stay humble and look to improve in every area. And but I think look, we've got to be happy with how we've gone so far. We've had some big wins as well, and we just look to move forward and keep improving as a team.
You've seen a lot of game time this season. On a personal level, you pleased with that? Yeah,
definitely. I think one thing I can never complain about is playing too much, because when I was younger, potentially that was the thing that I wanted the most, was just to be playing as any young player would. And it's sort of all come at once for me a little bit. But it's nice. Look, I think I've never had this sort of run of games, and it's great for me to be playing every week, and especially in a team like this, there are so many good players around you. It's it's hugely humbling and great to be part of, and I'm learning things every week, and that can only be healthy for me and hopefully the club as well.
You're a seasoned campaigner now with over 100 caps. Are you comfortable having more of a leadership role, especially with players often international duties and obviously some unfortunate injuries as well?
Yeah, I think it's sort of something that I've had the whole way growing up, this leadership captaincy type thing, and it's nice now to be part of the generals meetings and listen in on all the leadership things, and I think that's great. That's great for my development, and I feel a lot more confident when I've got a say in things, and it's a great experience for me, and also to learn off great leaders that we have in that group as it is, and obviously Al Hargreaves and Ernst Joubert and guys like that who are great captains in themselves, great leaders, and learning different techniques from those guys is a great experience for me.
Moving on to Leicester, they had a bit of a blip at the beginning of the season. They've been plagued with injuries, but they've hit some good form. What can we expect from them this weekend?
Yeah, it doesn't get much tougher than Leicester at Welford Road, does it? This is the thing. I think they were plagued with injuries at the early start of the season. I don't think the performances they put in really showed what they're about as a club, but they're now getting back into the swing of things. You just got to look at they've got Dan Cole coming back in, who played in the LV Cup last week, and people like that will obviously be a huge boost for that club. And they're a hugely physical side, a very proud club, and it's going to be a huge battle for us at the weekend. And we've put in some good performances at Welford Road over the last few years, and hopefully we can continue with that and have another one at the weekend. I can't speak highly enough of a lot of the guys in this team, and in my eyes, there are plenty of guys that should be, or would be pushing for an England team if I was selecting it. But I'm probably biased in that respect. Look at the performances last weekend, particularly Chris Ashton, David Strettle. Throughout the season, they've been unbelievable. You look at other guys, Will Fraser, Jackson Ray. All these guys are putting in brilliant performances, and obviously I'm very privileged, and we're very privileged that we get to see it every week. And so obviously in our minds, they'd obviously be in any England team, but. No, I think everyone at the minute is playing good rugby. This is the exciting thing about it, and hopefully that can be recognised pushing forward as well.